Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. Another Wednesday, same platform, another discussion, www.saharafmradio.com. Conscious Vibes, airborne right about now. Let me start today's program by wishing my mother a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. You did a great job. So, anyhow, show goes on. Today, on the show, you would have realized that there's a slight change in format. We're still actually in the process of properly formatting the program. But today's program is going to be slightly different. We're going to jump straight into People's Parliament. And while we're at it, today's discussion is centered on regional blocks within Africa. Trade, military, economic, political, all of that. Are they doing a good job? Are they really necessary? Are they just like window dressing? There are so many regional blocks within Africa. I get confused trying to actually track them and their activities and their histories, which is why I've brought it to Parliament to help everyone join in the discussion. To help us do the discussion today are some of our regular and some other not so regular panel members. So in about a minute or so, we'll be joining Parliament straight away and jumping into the discussion. Regional blocks in Africa. We've got ECOWAS, we've got COMESA, we've got SADC, we've got the EAC, we've got the ECAS, we've got the Common, we've got the, name them. Like I said before, I get confused trying to actually track them properly. I believe that we can do justice to the subject together. So we'll go straight into Parliament. You're welcome, gentlemen. And I don't know if there's a lady in the house today. You're welcome. Yes, hello. Can you please identify yourselves? Who's in Parliament today?
My name is Echo Baku.
Okay, I was expecting that.
My name is Echo Baku.
Okay.
Calling from Perth, Australia.
Fantastic. Echo from Perth, Australia. Who else is here?
Hey, Coffee Day Sean, I'm here too from Virginia, U.S.
Coffee, one of our regular. Oh, there's a wild feedback somewhere. If that can be turned down, I don't know who has their system turned all the way up. If you can turn it down slightly, possibly use headphones, that would be fantastic.
Okay, maybe me. You have Laquami from New York. You may hear New York in the background.
That's the sounds of New York. Okay. All right. So who else is here? We have Kofi Dishon, we have Echo, and we have Laquami. That's it for now, right? Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Let's jump into it straight away. Let me start with you, Laquami. Economic blocks in West Africa. In Africa in general, because we're dealing with, the whole continent. We're dealing with the COMESAs, the SADCs, the EACs, the ECOWAS, and all of that. Are they relevant?
I do think they're very relevant, and they've been around for some time. And whenever there's an issue, I know in Western Africa in particular, ECOWAS is very involved. The issue is how do we strengthen the particular regional bloc and also strengthen the AU in general as a whole. I think that's what we're building towards now. But they are relevant, and they are doing some things. It's just a matter of time until they develop more and become a stronger economic and also, whatever else they do as well, a stronger unit together.
Great. Let me come to you now, Kofi. Are they really living up to their billing? Are they chalking up any successes that we can be proud of, that we can point to and say they are relevant, like Kwame is suggesting?
Organizationally, it's very relevant, but I would not go as far as saying they doing everything they should do. But you and I know, prior to the liberation, movement for all countries in Africa, we needed one unifying voice. Ghana, Ethiopia, Egypt, these were like the leading nations in trying to trumpet, the call for, colonial rulers to leave, So they are very important, even if we want to talk about economic growth, we want to talk about sports, we want to talk about international, coming together as just one voice. They still very relevant, but I would not say they do everything they're supposed to do.
Are they living up to the billing? Are they really living? Do they have anything to say?
The answer will be no, but there's promise. I would not. I'm very, very harsh when it comes to politicians and the likes. But as far as like the AU and regional blocks, I would not be quick to condemn. I think they're on their way to doing great things. So it will be yes and no. There's room for improvement.
50 years and over of averagely of African independence. I mean, I'm just putting an average because it's definitely like spread out. Do we really still need to give them more time? Are they ever gonna get there, considering how corrupt some of our politicians are? Let me put that to echo.
Okay, cool.
Before I start, I would like to convey greetings from Rosanna Silvestro to the crew of Sahara.
I was trying so hard to reach her because we needed a female voice in this, but for some reason her phone was not on.
She's up now. I think she might have had a missed call because she contacted me asking if I was the one who called. So I think she might have had it.
Yeah, we'll see if we can slip her into the program at some point. We'll try again.
Okay. Yeah, and back to your question about whether the regional blocks have lived up to their billing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I would say a big no. A big no, because like you stated earlier on, they've been around for quite a while. And I was just doing some research and I realized, in fact, I even got to know of some blocks I never knew existed within Africa. And there's a lot of overlapping.
That's right.
Yes, a lot of overlapping, people joining all sorts of blocks, but really nothing is coming out of it. I personally feel they should all forget about what they are doing and let's look at the bigger picture of AU. Like, concentrate on AU and make it a really strong and viable bloc, because AU itself has its own question marks.
That's right.
There. Yes. With these other smaller blocks, maybe I'll give some credit to ECOWAS. ECOWAS, they have been trying to do something with a semblance of like trying to make a point. But even then, in totality, I would say we should just forget about it, all those things, and concentrate on the bigger picture, which is AU.
Very good point that you just raised about the ECOWAS and what they are trying to do and all of that. We still don't see results. Is that window dressing, Lakwami? Is that window dressing? Don't you think they're just like window dressing?
Well, I just think that there are certain nations in Africa that are still developing. And, as you have nations that are still going through a transitional period, it's unfair to more or less determine, that they should be doing more as a regional bloc. And I do see progress in Africa, and I think it's been discussed in previous shows how Africa does have this vast economic future for it, and how the West is looking to develop. So it's all developing, and I think it's getting better. Now, whether or not the regional bodies can do more, I think there's always more to be done. And I think it's essential to kind of focus on the regional bodies first, because Africa is a huge continent, and each region has its own pluses and minuses, and they have their own concerns. So, it's best to start regionally so you can build strong regional blocks until you get to a point where you can really strengthen the AU. And that's just, where I see it.
Okay, Kofi, I was having this discussion with one of my friends over this same issue, and he was like, why are we trying to strengthen blocks within a bigger block, just like Eko mentioned a while ago? We're trying so hard to get an African Union. Now with the regional blocks, what it means is that the attention of nations might shift from the bigger picture of an African Union to, say, the West African, like the ECOWAS or the SADC or the COMESA or whatever.
Correct.
Do you share these thoughts?
I think I would say they all can coexist. They both, all these sub-regional blocks can coexist.
Doesn't it defeat the whole idea, though, of like a total African Union? Because if you look at the EU, for instance,
it does stand in the way, but I think it's necessary, and then at some point it's necessary that we have like smaller blocks, and then at some point the smaller blocks become a point of convergence. You know what I'm saying? Because it's difficult for, let's say, Ghana to have a straight-up pact with Kenya, right? So if Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, the countries, Tanzania, in that area set up one block, right? And then, like, we have ECOWAS. Then we have a better chance of one day the Eastern, African bloc and ECOWAS, because, the treaties are kind of different, too, between countries. So you're right. There are times where they might crisscross and
yeah, because with the benefit of history, benefit of history, do we think that's ever going to happen? I mean, we all know about the rift that even was there right from the onset, from the formation of the OAU, right, where we had the Casablanca group or whatever they were called, and the Morovia group and all of that. Great. So, looking back at history and how we've come down the line, is this ever going to work? Is there ever going to be a point where these smaller blocks will say, "Oh, okay, now we're ready to merge together"? Do you think that's ever going to happen? Can I?
You got me, Crazy, or somebody else is taking this question? I didn't know.
Just take that, because it's
okay.
kind of like an aside.
I was gonna say it's kind of strictly it's gonna take a lot of hard work for Africa to get there. I see how you're looking at it like a broader Pan-African umbrella, but we have a lot of differences. Yep. It's coming to light. Look at the situation in Egypt. To tell you the truth, there are times where I'm like, okay, hallelujah. West Africa doesn't have to deal with it. So even as neighbors and as Africans, there are lots of like issues that need to be ironed out before that broader Pan-African, like where we move on to a stage where we can use one currency. Because we might have to hold on to that for quite a while. Cultural, socio-political differences, really stand in the way. And that's just me being, pragmatic. You and I know we wish the whole of Africa was under one umbrella, operating with the same vibe, no discrimination, no superior tendencies, but it's going to take.
It's a different story at the moment.
Yeah.
So, okay, Echo, what do we really want in these blocks? What do we want? I mean, we know that some of the blocks are specialist anyway. They are like economic blocks, they are political, at least proposed, because I really don't see any political bloc in Africa yet. They are all proposed. If you look at the chart, for instance, it's proposed that in, let's say, 2028 or something like that, the ECOWAS wants to form a political bloc, but at this moment it's just an economic bloc. What are some of the things that we want at all from these blocks? Echo.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Yeah, like you rightly pointed out, when it comes to political blocks, we should just forget about it. We don't have them. They are all like proposals at the moment. If you look at most of these blocks, they are all mostly hinged on economic activities.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they are all hinged on economic activities. But even then, like I said, not much is coming out of this economic blocks that they are trying to put up. So I still stand by what I said earlier on, that personally I think we should garner all our energies and look at the bigger picture, which is the AU, and make it a really solid bloc that can stand the test of time and compete with these major blocks outside Africa. Because you ask what we want. Basically, all that at this stage people would like to see is, like, they talk about free trade and all those
That's
things.
right.
It's not happening. Yes, it's not happening. It's all on paper. Just mere talk, rhetoric. Practically, there's nothing like that happening.
You seem to have a very grim view of the blocks in general. Let me ask you this. Just a while ago, the SADC endorsed Mugabe's presidential victory. And that seemed to have been the final nail in the coffin of not just Morgan Sangirai and the opposition, but also the wider external community that seems opposed to the Mugabe government. That seems to be a bit of an achievement. That seems to be a bit of muscle flexing right there. You don't agree?
Yeah. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I was actually going to come to that somewhere along the line, because it's something that has been there for a while with the SADC bloc. They might have some clouds when it comes to politics. They usually kind of stand by each other. And somebody like Mugabe has really benefited from the SADC bloc.
Very true.
Along those lines, yes, for quite a while. Yeah. So, in that aspect, we can't totally write that block off. Yes, but if we could channel those energies, and push it into the bigger picture, such a statement or something coming from the whole of AU
would
be more
stronger. Definitely, I agree.
Very good. Yes, stronger. Yes.
Yeah, because if you really check it out, which is actually my next question that I was going to put to La, the AU was gingerly accepting that Mugabe won the election, while the SADC was emphatic that he won the election. Conflict right there. What do you think, La?
Well, I think it's an issue where it's a difficult issue. My personal opinion is that the AU should be for fair and free elections, and I think it's more evident than not that this wasn't a totally legitimate election. And so you do have this issue where politically, I don't think the AU is exactly where it needs to be in terms of following a direct rule of law in terms of international law, free elections, and everything. Economically, they're starting to develop a little bit. The regional bodies should be more involved. And that's why I think regionally, if it was a regional issue, I'm not sure, I forget the name of the regional bloc in that area of Africa, they may have a different opinion than the general continent. And, you know, you may have somebody in Mali that might have a different opinion about, you know, than somebody in Southern Africa.
Yep.
And that's where the regional bodies come into play. And that's, you know, issues that are more or less pertinent to a particular region. Like voting issues in Africa is regional. You know, it affects the region more or less, more than so they affect the entire continent. I think the people in Southern Africa will be more concerned about what goes on, you know, with Mugabe than the people in you know, Northwest Africa. And I think that's where the regional bodies will have a role in, and they should.
Yeah.
And that's something where it's interesting, and that also goes for the economic side too. I mean, for example, Ghana has oil, but not that much. So oil economically will not be as large an issue in Western and ECOWAS than it would be in you know, the Northeast, for example, in Egypt and Sudan. Like, their issues are different than Western Africa. Now, and if you look at the entire body, like the AU, yeah, sure, like the AU should be more involved, but you have to also recognize the fact that the AU is fragmented amongst regions.
Yep.
Who have totally different outlooks on the way things should be. And I think, you know, once you strengthen those regions, then you can think about how to get those regions to come along the same line. But that has to be strengthened first.
That's right. Definitely. Kofi, pick this up. Imagine a scenario where a country belongs to a sub-regional bloc, like say the SADC, like say the ECOWAS or whatever. There's an issue, and then the AU holds a different opinion from what the smaller bloc holds, as obviously is the case in Zimbabwe right now. Who should actually have the last word? Because let me quickly round this up. I'm asking because I also realize there's a possibility that the smaller bloc can actually gang up against the bigger bloc, that's the AU. So who should actually have the final word?
That's so true. I was gonna say too. I'm gonna answer the question. But I was gonna say, Africa is like an elephant that has so many other mammals in the forest tugging at it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, sometimes you look at, you know, these regional blocks like we've been talking about, and you realize that the French have their own interest, and they'll do their best to convince the former, you know, colonies.
That's
the English have their own interests, and they'll do their best to convince us to work with them. So, see, when it's all said and done, to answer your question, I would say, let's say AU should be more its voice should be respected more than the SADC, if I'm quoting right.
Ideally, that should be the case. But what I need you to consider is a situation or a scenario where the SADC, let's take the Zimbabwe issue for an example. Let's say they just didn't speak and leave it at that, but they wanted to take action, right? Let's say the AU wanted to take action against Zimbabwe, and then the rest of the SADC form a kind of cyst, you know, around Zimbabwe. How do we deal with that?
Wow, then it's going to have to be like higher level talks, you know, at that level, like between the smaller regional bloc and the AU. That can easily happen, you know, because don't forget don't forget, let's say Mugabe per se. You know, he should be closer to his neighbors than he is to. His influence doesn't reach as far. You know, so he can quickly get the SADC to say, hey, you know, I'm riding with you, but then it's more difficult to get, you know, a bigger, the whole continent to ride with him. So, but should your scenario play itself out? I think it plays also. It's going to be a sad situation, but it also plays into the hands of the former colonial masters
Exactly.
who have an interest. Yeah, they have an interest in our disorganization. They don't make any money when we organize. That's why Gaddafi is no longer there. When we become, you know, seriously, we try to really become independent. These people are not going to be able to sleep at night because that's like all their income right there. They can rip us off, you know, these shady contracts. So it's not as easy as it seems for us to really, really, really become an independent, potent, relevant, you know, unified front. There are real issues, you know.
That's a very valid point, and I think personally, that's why the OAU changed to the AU. Because up till now, I do not understand the change. I don't, but that's subject for another discussion. Let me let me come to you now, Echo. The ECOMOG, as an example, I mean, one of the areas in which Africa seeks to find some kind of, you know, unity or community is militarily. You know, we mentioned that already. We have like the economics, we have the political, we have all of that. We also have the military aspect of everything. And like I think you said that actually, Echo, rightly, the ECOWAS has achieved something through the ECOMOG force. Again, I don't know what the ECOMOG force is like at the moment, but the ECOMOG was very active during the Liberian crisis. Maybe they might have helped to bring about a closure to all those things going on there. But again, they also racked up a few negative sentiments, especially when they were accused of aiding Charles Taylor to actually kidnap. No, sorry, it wasn't Charles Taylor. That was, I think, Johnson, to kidnap the then president Samuel Doe. That left a sour taste in the mouths of a lot of people. Do you think they have regained their trust back after such a serious thing? Like the ECOMOG can actually be manipulated to affect a change of government or to effect a change of government in another country? That left a sour taste in our mouths. Do you think they have regained their stature? Echo.
I think yes and no. Because usually when there's problem in the heat of things, let's say fancy ECOMOG is sent there, people usually don't think about the negatives that they talked earlier on, because they think about what is immediately going to happen with their presence. They are going to somehow get into the area and try to calm things down. But no, because still, like you rightly pointed out, if such a force, which comprises of various countries within the ECOWAS region, can be manipulated and to allow or to force a change of government, it's rather a huge negative. Like you said, it leaves a very sour taste in the mouth. It was really relevant when it was put up. They did a brilliant job. But that very issue that came in kind of negated a lot of the good things they did.
That's right.
And yes, it's very, very unfortunate because for such a force to, upon all the good things they did, ultimately to be manipulated to side with a faction in the conflict, it's just not right. It's just not right. Yeah, and I think if they actually want to regain the trust of the people, they have a lot of work to do. But generally, I think that was one of the biggest successes ECOWAS ever chalked, with the coming into force of the ECOWAS to stop this Liberian and Sierra Leonean conflict.
That actually depends on which side of the fence you're on. If you were in the Doe camp, I'm sure you would think differently because.
Of course. Yeah, at the moment, I'm thinking as a West African.
That's right.
Yeah, as a West African, not even a Liberian or a Sierra Leonean.
That's
yes,
right.
But a West African, because we should be honest, the fight wasn't going on in Ghana or Ivory Coast or all those places, but we all had to bear the brunt of the fight because we had to take care of refugees.
Yeah.
It got to a point when, to be honest, some of them became a nuisance to our communities. So it wasn't directly happening in our country, but it trickled down to us.
Yeah.
So for them to be able to get that force into operation and kind of stop the mayhem that was going on, I think that was one of the big successes ECOWAS ever chalked.
At the cost of Sergeant Doe's presidency, but all the same,
yes.
I think a lot of people think it was a small price to pay for peace.
When we like I keep on saying, we look at the bigger picture. At times,
Exactly.
we individuals' interests should be just sidelined for the general good of everybody.
All right. Cool.
Yes, it cost Sergeant Doe his presidency, but then it stopped innocent, especially
more
women
blood
and children
from being shed. But then again, even after Doe was removed, the fight actually escalated from then. But still, I get the point you're making. Let me move on to La now. I mean, let's consider the point that we just made. People think that General Kwenu, who was the head of the ECOMOG forces at that point, was actually compromised. People think that the powers that be, I don't want to mention any specific organization because, I need to research that more before I can emphatically say it was this or that organization. But people are of the opinion that he was compromised. He was called and asked to call these people and set Doe up to be captured by Johnson and his forces. Do you think that these blocks can actually be like, pawns in a bigger game that we do not even understand? You think this could be like actually a way of, the forces that be to control Africa like that? Do you think so?
I think we're all pawns in a larger game. to answer that question, I do think that as the region strengthens and develops economically, they'll be more or less independent. However, you do have to take into consideration that most of the economies, to take for example, like I know a lot about Western Africa and ECOWAS, for example, they're dependent states, they're dependent countries, depending on exporting their goods to Western countries. So it's obvious that the Western countries will have a significant say in the region. Now, given that, and given the development that we've seen recently, especially in the past 5 years in Africa, I think that will be less and less the case. Now, what needs to happen in terms of the political side of things, you do have to have an established set of standards, an established rule of law to hold the leaders in check. I always see influences and corruption and everything will always exist in every country. But if there's a set of standards that the people can look and say, hey, you guys are not living up to this standard, that will bring if not significant pressure, some sort of pressure on the leaders to stay in line and move towards the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 10 years. It's not going to happen. Maybe it could happen in 20 years. Who knows? But it's a steady process, which you have to have the rules in place to guide, and the regulations, I guess, in terms of ECOWAS, to guide Africa towards the right direction.
Okay. Kofi, what else can we point to apart from, of course, obviously we can point to free movement and stuff like that. And I always keep saying that. I went from Ghana to Nigeria 2 times without a passport, without a visa, just with my student ID card back in the day. And it was just like smooth, not smooth at the borders really, because of all the, corruption and stuff going on there. But apart from that, it's that good. You can actually travel through West Africa on any photo ID, which is quite a good thing. Then we've also mentioned ECOMOG, which has done a bit of everything and all of that. What else can we say that we benefit from these blocks at all?
I mean, like you said, migration, it's, blocks are really to help, ensure development, right? And more importantly, for like, less recognized voice at the negotiation table of nations, Africa as a whole. I think we need blocks because it gives us a better voice. It gives us a stronger voice at the negotiation table. Should we go looking for better contracts that don't get people sitting at Buckingham Palace, making money off of a Boise gold. You know what I'm saying? So if we could get these blocks to really represent a bigger voice at when we write these shady contracts with our more developed, counterparts, then we've achieved a lot, So it's good as far as getting a unified voice for purposes of, international trade and negotiations. So, yeah, it should have relevance beyond migration and
military
and all that. Yes.
Okay, great. Echo, we said on this program, I think it was one of the very first few episodes where we discussed interregional migration and intra-regional migration and all of that. And one of the points that was strongly drummed home was the fact that sometimes migration is not always a good thing. For instance, there are times where countries try to protect themselves, their livestock, their crops, everything, stuff like that, from pests and diseases. Some countries, you live in Australia, Australia is huge on that. You can't even take apples from Perth to Sydney, and it's very strict. But if we open the borders like that, in the name of blocks, and people are like all over the place, driving cattle from Mali all the way to Ghana and stuff like that, how does that pan out?
Yeah, I think you've really raised a very huge issue over here. In favor of migration of our citizens, but there should be some checks and balances. What comes to mind now is this Fulani problem we have back home in Ghana. They just wake up one day, we decide, it's not raining over here, we don't have enough vegetation here, so we need to move into another country to get food for our cattle.
Yeah.
They just come in, like you rightly pointed out, the possibility of bringing in pests and diseases is very huge because they don't go through any quarantine measures.
That's right.
And the worst aspect is when they come in, they just enter people's farms with their animals, destroy things as they go, and even have the impudence of threatening the farm owners with guns and bows and arrows and stuff like that. I don't think that is good for migration. Not at all. I personally witnessed one incident back home where these guys walked from Akimoda in the eastern region to Swedru in the central region on the main road with their cattle. And you can imagine the mayhem that they caused, apart from the traffic slowing down drastically. These animals defecated all the way from...
I knew there was going to be a defecation somewhere.
Yes. All the way from Oda to Swedru, which is quite some distance. So you can imagine the mess that was caused. Yeah, so like I was saying, yes, I believe in inter and intra migration, but there definitely should be some checks and balances somewhere along the line. We need to check some of the things. You think
the blocks can do that? The blocks are strengthened enough to do that, to check migration on that level?
It's an emphatic no from me. I don't think we are in a position to do anything like acceptable, like any workable situation.
Also,
as far as that is concerned.
Also because we are one people, if you really check it out. When I went to Nigeria, I could not tell any difference between myself and the people that I saw in Ghana and the people in Nigeria, apart from the fact that their pidgin is different. They say Oga and we say Charlie, you know. But apart from things like that, it's just the same people. So if you see someone walking on the streets, it's even hard to be like, oh, this guy is...
It's very true.
Whatever.
It's very true. Of that. Because I remember in Ghana we used to have this joke, like if the Nigerians come in, the next moment they would organize a truck for themselves, they become truck pushers, and you can't differentiate between a Nigerian and somebody from northern part of Ghana.
Definitely not, because the borders are artificial anyhow. I mean,
yes,
the partitioning of Africa, we Africans had nothing to do with it. So in all of and this, we should also be...
Even the names.
That's right. That's right. Some of the names. Some of the names. Anyway.
You get Isaka in northern Ghana, you get Isaka in Nigeria.
Definitely.
So, yes.
The food, everything. Exactly. I mean, it's just buttressing the point. But okay, let me go to Kofi now. Let me go to La Kwame now. When these blocks are formed, right, we see that there's something like a West African parliament. There's an ECOWAS parliament where we have parliamentarians from different countries converge there. They have their speaker and all of that. But, La, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, good. Right. Okay, so let me finish my question then. So I'm saying sometimes it doesn't appear as if the average African has any input whatsoever to the formation or to the activities of these blocks. You find out that, we don't even know who in our parliaments are members of the parliaments of the blocks. It's just like they go and sit down there and do what they do, and we don't, hardly anything is even reported about it at all. So there seems to be like a clear lack of citizen participation. What's your take on that?
My take on that is the citizens' participation is electing those officials who make those decisions as to who goes to these bodies.
That is debatable from here to the OK Corral, Lakwami, because the point of the matter is that these people, when they are elected and they go there, first of all, they're thinking about their constituencies and the gutters that they need to construct in the constituencies. But on the block level, they are huge. They are bigger issues to be discussed, and these people never report back to the citizens. I've not seen a single instance where an MP has come to the people and say, "Oh, on the West African level, we want to have a common currency. So what do you think?" I've never seen that happen.
Well, I mean, for me, if it was an issue for the people would demand that the MP would go and give them answers. The people are not asking those questions. If they were asking those questions, the MP would come back and be like, okay, well, I have to get these questions for my constituents. Those questions are not being asked. number one. And it's not. It really isn't. The thing is that it gets complex when it's this way. And if you want to go and change how the government chooses representatives to these bodies, that's one thing. But if it's the issue as to there's no direct citizen involvement in the regional bodies, I would say, well, it wasn't meant to have direct citizen involvement. It's not a pure democracy in that sense.
Exactly.
It's a representative. And so you have to send these representatives to go to these bodies. And if the representatives come back with no news for the people, if the people are concerned about it, they'll come back with news to deliver to the people. But to me, generally, my take on that is if they're not saying anything, that's because they feel like it's not important. And the people who are accepting that.
One thing, though, about Africa and its people is that the level of education is such that sometimes you don't even have people, and it's not just education, it's just the daily struggle of the average African. Sometimes these are not things that they're even thinking about. You know, some people do not know, end of story. Other people have more pressing issues and all of that.
And Quincy, to that point, what I say is, if that's the case, if there are people who either do not understand it, which is a separate issue, it's more concerning to me, or people who have larger issues, then to me that's not an issue as to whether or not what goes on in ECOWAS. If the people themselves are not concerned for whatever reason what's going on in ECOWAS, and they do elect people who they have direct relationship with to go and represent them in ECOWAS, I don't see an issue there.
I hear you, but what I would say again is that if you as a government take my money, refuse to provide me with schools so that I don't have the requisite education that I need to understand policies and stuff like that, and then you still don't come back to me and explain things to me, that is underchanging me, and that is taking my vote for granted. That's my personal view on that. But anyway, thank you so much, gentlemen. The time is really up at this point. I'm just going to give you each 1 minute, 30 seconds maybe, to just round up your thoughts quickly on this issue. What would you want to see? What would you want to see across Africa in terms of these blocks? Do you want to see them maintained? Do you want to see them stronger? Do you want to see them scrapped? Do you want to see them turned into something else? Are there too many of them? Whatever. What are your thoughts? Let me start with you now, La.
Well, I personally was laughing at the time when I heard the story about the nomads traveling in Ghana. I wish I was there to see it. And that just reinforced the fact that, listen, Africa is unique. It's unique, and it's not like any other continent on the face of this earth. And what I see with the regional bodies is I see a glimpse of hope. They already are active. They've been around for years, and they're slowly improving. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not a simple issue as, you know, the EU is dealing with. It's its own unique, complex thing. What I can only recommend is establishing a rule of law, set standards that we can all abide by or hold people responsible to, and slowly develop from there.
Yeah, fantastic. Kofi.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to see these blocks maintained. Like Lars said just a few seconds ago, you know, we need to be a little more transparent regarding what policies are being enacted or what policies are being pushed. Who's representing us, like you said, Quincy? Who's representing us, and what are they fighting for? Are they fighting for the common good, or are they just designating themselves as diplomats and you know, actually squandering taxpayers' money on international flights and shopping sprees? So we need to just be a little more transparent.
Fantastic.
Fighting for the poor people, you know,
Great.
for the good people of Africa.
Definitely. Echo.
Yeah, I somehow support the earlier speakers, but I think some of the smaller blocks need to be scrapped. Because the last time I checked, like I said, I was doing a research and I came across blocks that I never even knew existed. I counted them and I had 14 of them. It's not helping anybody as far as our economic progress is concerned, our political progress is concerned. Those 14 blocks are not doing any good for Africa. If we could have like a few really potent ones, like 2-3 blocks within Africa, but still the emphasis should be on the bigger picture, which is the AU. Let's really build a strong AU, and I think that will push us forward more than concentrating on these smaller blocks within the AU.
Words of wisdom. My personal take is that, if I'm allowed at all, is that if we're going to maintain these blocks, we should also have like an inter-block, kind of organization that will seek to coordinate the affairs of these blocks and make sure that they are all geared towards the bigger picture, that they are not they are not at variance with the bigger aims and objectives of the AU. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the AU, it looks like it's come to stay. So what can we do? We just have to roll with that. But anyway, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Lakwame from New York. Thank you, Kofi you in Connecticut, right? Hello? Anyhow.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you,
yeah, I was just asking where you are. I know you're in the U.S., but I don't know which part of the U.S. you're in. And thank you very much, Echo from Australia, Perth. Thank you also, listeners and viewers, because you can actually watch this show as well. And if you miss it, or if anyone misses it and wants to catch up with it, you can just log on to YouTube, go on our page, Sahara Reporters, type Conscious Vybz, it pops up, and you can catch up on all the episodes that we have had so far. Thank you again, and till next week, we'll come your way again with another discussion for African edification. One love, people, every time. This has been yours truly, Ja Beloved.
Thank you very much.
Until next week.
One nation.